Welcome to Bite Size PL, professional learning you can consume during lunch or on a dog walk or right after your morning meditation. Our goal is to provide meaningful, engaging, and brief conversations for educators. I'm Jeanette, and today Jared and I are hosting another book group meeting for people who are too busy to read books.
Yeah, which sometimes that's us.
Yes, but luckily for you, we have a couple of experts with us today. We're at Syracuse Junior High School, and we are joined by Donnell Call, a school counselor, and Principal Travis Warnick. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
The book we are talking about today is The Happiness Advantage, How a Positive Brain Fuels Success in Work and Life by Sean Acor. And we are excited to have you share with us some of the misperceptions people have about happiness and success, and some of the ways that we can apply the principles from this book, not only into our real lives, but into our work in our schools and with students and colleagues as well. So to begin, the happiness advantage, maybe in a sentence, is pointing out that we have a misconception that if we have success, it will lead to happiness, when actually it's the reverse, which is happiness leads to success. So, Travis, you put together a presentation for leadership and then for your faculty this summer.
From there, this kind of blossomed.
Right. So tell us about your experience with the book and why you chose it to be a pivotal part of your leadership.
Last summer, we stumbled on a YouTube video by the author. His name's Sean Acor, and it's a 12-minute video, and you laugh the entire time.
It's so fantastic. He does such a great job. Like, he pulls you in. It's funny, tells a good story, and then it just really gives you some good stuff.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And really, it just dawned on me and our administrators and counselors as we're talking about what do we need for this coming year, is that happiness is in our control. It's not something that happens to us. Mm-hmm. Like I always wanted to play in the major leagues, and I would only be happy if I got there. Mm-hmm. But the opposite is true, and I would be more successful if I choose to be happy. So happy is our control. The outcome is the success, not the other way around. And putting happiness in my control was kind of eye-opening.
So share a couple of the principles from the book that you used in your presentation to leadership and then also with your faculty.
And that's the other thing. I love the layout of the book is he gives 7 really clear ways you can choose to be happy. And that will promote you being successful, and you will be more successful. And he shows all the science and the research. Like he talks about the success paradox of happiness comes first, but he talks about the Tetris effect, that sometimes we force things into place instead of letting them happen organically, following up. What are some of the others?
The 20-second rule.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that.
Making things that you want to do easier and more available to you.
So how does that work?
So like he used an example of going to bed in your workout clothes so that you're ready. And it's kind of that reinforcement principle of making distractions harder and more effort to get to, and making things that you want to be focusing on easier and quicker, so that you get less distracted.
That kind of reminds me of the principle that we get decision fatigue if we're always having to decide to do things, or so the more you can automate something,
yes,
the better. So that 20-second principle, or I've heard of the minute of power, where if you can just say, I don't want to go do this thing, but I'm going to give it a minute. I'm going to have a minute of power, and then often it'll lead you out the door to the gym or down the stairs to the exercise bike, or whatever.
And he talks about that a lot, and then Atomic Habits, and take 20 seconds to nail it.
And with the idea that once you've done that, I mean, you don't have to go to sleep in your workout clothes all the time. At some point, that will become a habit for you, and it will be automated, so you can do that without sleeping in your workout clothes. But it gets you there.
Because it should. The payoff for doing the workout is all that happiness that comes, those endorphins, the satisfaction, the feeling stronger or whatever, and then it gets easier to, that feedback loop gets more and more positive.
But the hardest time to build that habit is those first 20 seconds of getting in the workout clothes and getting out the door. Okay, if you can eliminate that, like Donnell said, the distraction, that habit grows easier.
Right. Well, one of the things that I did immediately with that, it's easy to be in your bed and be scrolling on your phone. And I was like, okay, if I take the principle that he's talking about, what would that be for me? And so I just put my charger in the other room. So I couldn't have my phone in the bed. And then that just changed all that. It was that principle right there. And now I don't really need it anymore. I don't, but it comes from that.
Yeah.
And from a workplace principle, we have so many distractions with our devices. And another example he uses, which I was like, that's so true, is email. When it just keeps popping up and keeps popping up. And, his suggestion is to make it so that you have to go in and log on when you're ready to see your email so that you can focus on something and then come back to that when you're ready. And so that can help us be more efficient at work.
Yeah, because it's so easy just to answer email as they come in, and then you don't get anything done all day.
And as we know, emails never stop.
So right. They never stop.
In fact, they multiply.
Yeah.
Like I'll come out of my office. I just sent 40 emails and I got 85 back.
What principle is that?
Yeah.
The multiplier effect is what that
There are
is.
some emails I send, I cringe when I hit send because I know it's going to trigger 7 responses.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here it goes. But it does make sense. Eliminate that distraction.
Yeah. Let's talk about this idea that you can improve your mood and raise your happiness level. I mean, some people are naturally, just by disposition, perhaps a little more cheery than others. So let's go through some of his ideas for ways that you can increase that happiness set point, if you will. So 1, meditation.
And he talks a lot about that happiness isn't just closing your eyes and saying, I'm happy now. Yeah, but there are things we can do to set ourselves in a happier place and eliminate the distractions from not being happy. This isn't just putting a Walmart sticker with a smiley face on. It is doing things that will help you physiologically become happier. Meditation, exercise, sleeping well, doing those things.
And we're changing our brains.
So we are literally, and he talks about the Dalai Lama, who in the 70s said, I can change your brain. And the Dalai Lama went on and said, meditate, breathe, slow down, do these things, socially connect. And everyone laughed at him. But now that we have technology that does brain scans, they are literally watching your brain change when you do these things. Yeah. It's not just calming down. Your brain he calls it neuroplasticity. And your brain changes and becomes more adaptable and more able to absorb and process better. Mm-hmm. So you're not just happier, you're more effective.
Yes. And there's gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Gratitude is a big one.
And it feels like is the Tetris effect one of his points where he talks about when you're playing Tetris, you're kind of you're watching, you're anticipating for those particular shapes that you're looking for. And so if you choose to do the gratitude journal or whatever you call it, where you, at the end of the day, write down 3 things you're grateful for, you'll start watching for those things.
Yep, and you see them. So even at work, as our administrators, every Friday we have our meeting, and one thing we do is each one of us picks one staff member and we handwrite a thank you card. Because then we know that whole week we need to be watching for things happening around here that we're grateful for. And you start to see and anticipate good things instead of negative.
Right. And one point that he brings up about that is you need to be specific. Like it can't just be like, I had a good night's sleep. Like, try to be as specific as you can with what you are grateful for.
Right. And the more you notice, I used that yesterday, right? Like, I already used that gratitude entry yesterday. So it starts to make you think of different things. So you're not repeating all the time the same things you're grateful for.
Another one that he puts on this list of ways that you can improve your mood is finding something to look forward to. And he says, even if you don't get to it, like if you anticipate, for me, it's always, I'm going to read my book or I'm going to binge watch something. And then 8:30 or 9 comes and I'm asleep on the couch.
As soon as I hit play.
But the anticipation is still something that, fires something really positive into your brain and helps with that brain change.
And I didn't know that. But my wife has always known if I come home grouchy from work, she'll just say, Travis, you need a project.
and that's something you can look forward
project, to. Or even a work project, right? I want to do project-based learning, or I want to work in my garage or something. And I just, and that worked. But when I read that he described why like physiologically, scientifically, why that works. It was kind of empowering, like, oh, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. Another one is spend money, but not on stuff. And he talks about experience, look at your calendar or, see how many things are like for me, anticipating and thinking about going to the Museum of Natural History this weekend will fire in my brain all week as I think about spending time with my grandkids.
And if you can do 2 or 3 of these in one event, so now you have a look forward to thing. Mm-hmm. And you have time with grandkids, which is a social connection, which is his last chapter. And if you can couple 3 or 4 of them together, you just intrinsically become happier. And it's interesting that science is now proving that. It's not just a fluffy feeling.
That spending on experiences and not things, that's always been for my husband and I is we've never, ever regretted spending money on a vacation. So whether it's small or it's big, it's time with our kids, it's time with each other, it's time with our families or whoever we go with. And it's just never been a regret, no matter how much it ends up costing, because of all those things it combines to spend time away, relaxing for yourself, for your mental health, and with whoever you choose to go with. So I really like that one a lot.
Well, and think about that in particular, like if you were to say like to your kids, like, what did you get for Christmas last year? And a lot of times they're like, well, I don't know. I don't even remember. But if it's an experience, they can point exactly to like, yeah, we did this and we, and that was great. Like we had the best time together.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes the best thing about a vacation isn't the vacation. It's the planning for the vacation, right? Hey, we get to go to do this. And that's a really cool way that helps our brains become a little bit more positive.
And it can sometimes pay off in spades. My husband and I will notice that our kids will say, remember how we used to always, and we're like, we didn't actually do that that many times. But in their mind, we were always a family that went on hikes or camped over Easter or whatever it was. And I thought, boy, you only have to do that a couple of times and it's like credit in the bank because, it becomes one of those memories that you talk about enough that it feels like it was a big thing. And that and those are the experiences that my children remember.
Yeah.
So we had this conversation last summer as administrators at the school and like, okay, great, this is a nice fluffy book.
Right.
What does that have to do with the classroom? And we started to really watch for teachers that know how to manage a classroom, show incredible amounts of gratitude for kids that do it right. They're not just harping on the negative. They're looking for kids that are doing it right. And we started to watch as we're observing teachers that have a lot of gratitude have a happier classroom and better management. And I'm like, holy cow, this was totally eye-opening.
Mm-hmm. Oh, in fact, I'm right on the page here where it talks about a manager. So think of a teacher. They had these test subjects go into a group and display one of the following 4 tones: cheerful enthusiasm, serene warmth, depressed sluggishness, or hostile irritability. And they found that those first 2, the serene warmth or the cheerful enthusiasm, their groups were more effective. They were more productive. The experience was more enjoyable just by the tone and the attitude of the leader. So in
Isn't
a classroom, in a classroom, of course.
Doesn't it make you think of like when mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? Like if mom comes home in a bad mood, it wrecks the whole tone in the house. And it's the same in a classroom. If the teacher's up there and is not feeling it, it can bleed out into the students as well.
Right. And the other thing that it points out is that if somebody has, like they're in a bad mood, it will affect everybody else pretty quickly. Like I think it said like within 20 seconds, even like you can see the mood change for everybody. So if I, whether it's a teacher or a student that comes in and they're in a bad mood, like it can start to affect everybody else.
So are you seeing, tracking do you have anything specific going in your school here? It sounds like with your administrative team you do.
So we do watch closely. We haven't done like a formal, hey, everyone be happy.
I'm sure that would go great.
But it would be great. But there's also the reality is we have a stressful job. It's hard. It's hard to navigate 35 7th graders in a class, right? We know that. But to watch for the population and what to do if you're having a bad day, you can be happy and still have a bad day. You can be happy and still have a flat tire. But watching what you do, and he gives some great practical real life advice. What do you do when you have that flat tire or that class is that class? How do you respond? And sometimes we tend to hunker down and just, I want to be alone. And he talks about the power of being together when you're having the bad day. And our staff is really good at that. We support each other. And we know you have that class or you've had that day or something happened at home. We got you. Instead of, I'm going to shut myself in my room. And that has been a key. I think we've seen a key difference that our staff is there. And it's really been powerful to watch.
He's made the faculty room a place where people want to be. We have massage chairs in there, and we just got a new couch, and there's a shuffleboard table and a soda machine. And so it's a place where the teachers want to be, and it helps them to gather together so that they have downtime and time to be with each other, where they can lament about whatever's going on in their lives and have a friend there to listen.
Well, and I thought that was one of the key parts there that he talks about in the social pieces. Generally in those times when we're having a bad day or a bad month or whatever it is, like we isolate ourselves and we pull away. We do the exactly opposite of what we should be doing, where we do need to reach out and we need that support socially. So that's fantastic that your staff has like really taken that on and looked for moments when somebody does need to be lifted up and help them out.
Well, and that transfers into the classroom with students as well, trying to help build an awareness among students, with their peers, who needs somebody to listen, who needs somebody to laugh with them today, that awareness of our own happiness and those around us.
Well, some of it is mindset. And so there's a chapter in there, is it the fulcrum lever, it's called, I think. Uh-huh. And it's just changing your perspective so that it goes more toward the positive than the negative. And Travis has told the staff, reverse the but. Instead of saying that Joey is a great kid, but he's so hard in my class, he's hard in my class, but he's such a great kid. And so when teachers can have that kind of mind shift and adjust the positive so that it's, outweighing the negative, that can help with the mood too.
And if you can say it's silly, but if you say the positive as the last part of the sentence, that's the flavor it leaves in your mouth. And that changes the whole tone of the conversation. We're going to talk about him being a great kid. We're not going to talk about him being a turd in my class. Right. So we work hard and we talk about that openly.
Yeah, that's a great little strategy right there to just switch them around.
Reverse the but. And when I say that, people look at you like, what? No.
Well, but it does, get you to ponder and be like, okay, what do you mean by that?
It's a conjunction, not an anatomical feature.
Exactly.
We've built being positive. We do grade level team meetings twice a month. And at least we have the 8th grade team. And in our meeting, that's one of the norms. Like being positive is what we're doing in here. So just remember, before you shout out about whoever it is that we're trying to help here, that we're doing it in a positive way. And it helps everybody just to stay positive about the kids and find the good things and how can we help, rather than getting into kind of a complaining session about what might be going wrong. So it really is helpful just to point out, let's be positive.
Yeah, and that's a great norm to have. Everyone in the room, let's just be positive while we're here.
And you can still be critical.
That's right.
And positive, or critical and find a solution, not just complaining. And it does change the whole goal of the meeting, which all came from this book.
Okay. We highly recommend it. There's lots and lots here for people to dig into. I think we all recommend that you start with that TED Talk of Sean Achor, Achor, easily Googled. And that gives you a flavor of how delightful he is and how interesting these principles are.
And I would say, watch the TED Talk. It's only 12 minutes long. You'll want to read the book after you watch it. Yeah. He does a great job.
And he actually writes the book as funny as he talks on the video. Yeah. I laugh during this book.
Yeah, and I'm listening to it on Audible, and he's reading it, so it's really fun to hear. All right. Well, we always invite our guests to bring a gift, share something that's bringing you happiness or joy. So, Donnell, what would you like to share?
So right now in the winter, my husband made sure that we all got into snowboarding because I didn't pick it up. I went when we were dating and then kind of put it away until we had kids and they were older. But he wanted us all to love it so that we love the winter, because winter can be long. So we snowboard. And that's what I'm enjoying doing in the weekends right now. And one of the days that we were up there, I rode the lift with a lady from Missouri, and she was like, we're on a 5-year plan. We're going to move. We don't really love Missouri. We're finding somewhere better to go. And we talked about Colorado because I lived in Colorado for 5 years. And so we were talking about our experience there. And she was asking how the skiing was here. And is it this amazing all the time? And we said, yeah, it's pretty amazing. And she's like, well, Colorado's off our list. We want to move here. This is our dream spot. And I just sat there on the chairlift and I thought, I live in someone's dream spot. Like, Utah is not always my dream spot because I grew up here and I take it for granted. So just helping me to remember to be grateful and to really, like that meditation piece that he talks about, is, you know, getting away from all the noise outside and really just being in the moment and being grateful for the things that we have.
That's great. If we could just get her hired as a teacher, then that's the perfect story.
Yeah. Give her a call.
All right, Travis.
For me, I spent 22 years in Las Vegas and actually retired.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was a high school principal there and retired and moved up here to be with family. And I retired on a Friday and I started work here on a Monday. That was not how I pictured retirement.
Going back to work?
Yeah, I was back. I didn't even feel retired. But we moved up here for family. And I have spent a lot more time with family. And I love my job. There are a few people that love their job more than I do. I do things wrong, but I love it. And it's fun. But I have had a lot of time with family, especially my kids. And I've realized that is what's important. So just find out what's important for you, and being able to dedicate and focus to that has really been awesome.
Well, these are some thought-provoking gifts that we've had
very
today.
thoughtful.
Great. All right. Well, we'd really like to thank Donnell and Travis and Syracuse Junior High for hosting us today. Like, this is fantastic, and really appreciate all the great things that have been shared. And as always, we'd like to thank Tom, our producer, for making us sound so good. And remember, this season, putting video of the podcast on YouTube, and you can continue listening using your favorite podcast app, but you can also check out the video on our YouTube channel. Check the show notes for that link, and thanks for joining us. Please like and subscribe and share the podcast with others. See you at school.